Hi, and thanks for joining me for this flip video of Crafter's Companion box kit number 23. This is all about floral decoupage. And here I have my flat card. I already stamped part of the design in the corners there. I used pretty much the same method that I'm showing here, where I've just got one of my water-based markers and I'm applying that to the stamp and taking that then to the paper. With the flowers around the border, I did go over that with a watercolor, or a water pen, just to pull some of that color out and give it a little bit of a softer watercolor effect. And the purple flowers and even some of the leaves, I actually used the art impressions method where I did stamping multiple times and then just patted it a little bit with a water brush, and that gives you a really soft effect and that really nice kind of impressionistic watercolor look. With the sentiment here, what I thought I would try to do was add some emphasis to those scripty words by actually inking them in a different color. And since I'm using I used a marker for the pink part of the sentiment, I was able to control exactly where to apply the color. And I'm just doing some really simple masking, just putting a piece of paper over where I don't want any of the black ink to go. And I'm just being really careful where I apply the ink. So as you can see, it gives you a really fun effect, and you can bring in some extra emphasis to certain words in your sentiments when you can actually put them in a different color like this. So I really love Crafter's Companions sentiment stamps because they do often have sentiments where they'll add extra emphasis to particular words in the sentiment by making them scripty and or larger. So I thought I would take it up a notch by even putting it in a different color. So this is going to be the first flat card I create, and the kit does come with this beautiful ribbon, which they give you 3 different colors of ribbon and in 3 different sizes each, so you do get a lot of variety, and I actually really appreciate that we get a variety of color and width over, longer spools or lengths of ribbon, because the amount that you get is enough probably for 1 to 2 cards. So I do think that it's a nice generous amount, but also a very usable amount so that it doesn't just continue to accumulate in your craft room. And I did already pre-assemble all of my floral decoupage images, and I have a separate video for that if you're interested in seeing that, so you can check that out. But I did do a lot of the prep work in advance for this, just so that this video is a little bit shorter and it's more just about assembling the final card. And this is a stepper card. I also have a separate video on how to just create your base card for the stepper card. So if you're interested, you can also check out that one. And I do give you dimensions for how to recreate the stepper that I'm showing here, but I talked through in that video how you would go about actually just changing that up and sort of the math that goes along with where you score and how you determine where you put your score lines and where you cut and all of that. That way you kind of know how to arrive at all of this, and you can then customize it to whatever size card you'd like to make, because I always thought it was a little bit of a mystery, and so I wanted to figure out how to do this for myself, and I found that it's actually not that hard to figure out. So hopefully that that video helps you out too if you are always curious as to, you know, where to put your folds and how to figure everything out so that it folds down nicely. But I do love these stepper cards because they stand up really nicely and they're a really interesting shape and very pretty. So I do have two of them in this set, one for each of the style of flowers that comes included in this kit. This is my interactive card, so it's a custom flip card, and if you're curious about that, I also have a separate video on how to create a custom flip card using really any sort of symmetric shape die that you have in your stash. And I do have a lot of the Sizzix Flip It dies, and that's a really quick and easy way of creating one of these cards because it does also have all the dies that will allow you to cut out all of the decorative mats and layers for your card as well. But certainly if you didn't have one of those, you could, or if you just wanted a different shape that they don't offer, you could always just make your own. And I do love that this kit also included die cut sentiments. So in the bottom left corner there you see thinking of you, and they have a number of these really thin, beautiful, scripty font die cut sentiments, and they have them in separate dies, so you can do things like, I think there's just for you, thank you, thinking of you. So there's a good combination of words that you can use, and I've really taken to die cutting my sentiments rather than stamping them. So I like stamping, but I've really started to enjoy die cutting my sentiments. So I really appreciate that about this particular kit. And this kit also has some really nice sentiments about friendship. So this one says, "Friends are the family we choose for ourselves," which I think is a really sweet sentiment. And it's kind of fun to decorate these flip it cards. So I went with the front being sort of more on the pink side, and then when you open it, the back sort of matches the more lavender purple side. And this is going to be my final card. It's my pop-up card. And this is more, if you caught my previous video, I did play around with a different size of box, and this is going back to more my standard size where I've got the 3 bridges and instead of just the 2 and the more narrow box. I do think that this dimension of box is a little bit more aesthetically pleasing than the thinner box that I created previously, so I'm sticking to to this ratio of box here. It does mean that you kind of have to fill it extra full of die cuts to really make it feel bountiful and that there's just a lot exploding out of this box. But that's not that hard to do considering these floral decoupage elements are very, very dimensional. So just one of them really already feels like it's very full and does take up quite a lot of kind of space in the box. And I'm using the version, if you caught my video on assembling the floral decoupage pieces, I'm using for this box the version where I've curled up the edges, and that gives it even more dimension. And so here's 2 of them that I'm bringing in, and I'm gonna try to position and tilt them so it doesn't look like they're 100% identical. And when this folds down, it is going to be rather thick, so I don't know how well this will go through the mail. It will more than likely require extra postage, but what I've done is I die cut another set of or another sheet of the floral decoupage in the hydrangea here, but I haven't assembled assembled those together. I've left all of the pieces separate and also curled up all of the edges for them. And that way I can use them as filler to just fill in those areas where it looks a little bit empty, and using the pieces individually. Some of them I even snipped into, some of them I kind of raised up a little bit out of the box just using some acetate, and that way you can kind of, fill in those empty areas, but then also make it not look like everything is identical. So I thought that was really fun. And here is a quick recap of all of my cards. I really love how this one turned out, especially how well everything stamped out. And these are the stamps that you can use once all of your pre-printed decoupage sheets have been used up. But I just decided to use it as a kind of border stamping, and it worked really nicely. This is my first layered card, and you can see all of that dimension from the floral decoupage, and just use some of my nested scallop circles to give that some extra emphasis. I love the colors in this kit. They're very kind of soft and muted, and has a little bit of that vintage kind of look to it. So really love that. And then the stepper cards, these fold down to an A2 size card, and I did make two. This one is a 5x7, and it is really gorgeous. This is another style of where I curled up the edges, which I think is really nice because it just pops off the page a little bit more and gives it just that extra bit of realism. And my interactive card is a flip it card. I was debating to put the hydrangea, the purple hydrangea, on the back side once you flip it open, but it just would have been way too thick. So I decided to put another sentiment here instead, which I think is really really nice little surprise when you go to open that up. And then my final card is a exploding box card. So With Love is another one of the die cut sentiments that comes in the kit, and when you open this out it says thank you, and just a lot of flowers coming out of this box. So really, really pretty, so much dimension, and that's only just 3 sheets of the decoupage flowers. So very, very fun kit to work with. I really love this kit. I'm sure I'm going to be making more cards, and I think it's a really nice kit for making card sets if you want to give card sets away as gifts. Thanks for joining me. I hope that you enjoyed my cards. If you did, please consider subscribing to my channel and hitting the notification bell so that you can get a notification when I post new videos. Thanks so much. Bye.